Showtime. Admitting all.
Yay.
Yay, yay, yay. Jenny, it's Wednesday night. Again, you know what that means? Party time.
Hi, everybody.
Party time. It's
It's
exciting.
the wild tea party time.
It
Oh,
is.
it's good to see you all.
And Nushin, you made it. So you got the email. I'm super happy to see that. That's awesome. So Jenny, welcome to Wild Tea Party number two,
Welcome to Wild Tea Party
the,
number two.
the online version. So let's, as we did last week and as we will always do, let's kick off with some gratitude. So Jenny, what are you grateful for?
Oh my God, I am grateful to see all these beautiful faces. Again, that was my gratitude last time, but it warms my heart. It really, truly warms my heart to see everybody. I'm so happy to see you, Karen. I know that you made some, yeah, you made some arrangements, and Catherine and everybody else just really happy and so grateful because we can't do this without you. So thank you. What about you, Todd?
Well, otherwise it would just be you and me, but we would have our own wild tea party
Yeah, we
anyway.
do.
So it's good. I'm grateful. Jenny and I had a really great conversation today with Ming Tang Gu, another Qigong master, and we're excited about maybe planning some retreats at his place, the Chi Center in Santa Fe. So we're looking at a couple of dates with him, and he just is a great. I've followed him for a while, had a chance before we did the retreat last year with Lee. I went to go visit him actually right when I got back from China, went to Santa Fe and then went to Chicago and then went to Santa Cruz for the retreat. But just he's just got a great spirit. His place is unbelievable. The sunsets, the just the energy that he has there and just the space. So he's doing a really amazing job with his retreat center. So really looking forward to planning at least one retreat together with him this year. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. But just welcome. So invite you guys to type in and whatever you guys are grateful for and where you guys are from. And just super excited about what continues to be growing in the Mighty Network and how people are able to, learn more. And Jenny and I are learning more, like what to do and how to do it and all the different sort of bells and whistles that it has. So tonight we're going to do some qigong. We're going to talk about puer tea. We're going to have a little tea ceremony, and then, of course, as we always like to do at the end, open up just for questions and answers and how we can best support you guys. So, Jenny, anything else before you lead us in the chi part of the tea party?
Um, no, we're gonna do a lot of similar things that I taught last week. So there's gonna be some reminders but also some new things. So probably do 15, 20 minutes. And we're gonna do a very yin style tonight because we are about to climb into bed, a lot of us. And I want to show everybody I tape my ear pods in
So sophisticated, Jenny.
when I teach, and it works. So
That's
you
awesome.
guys should all do that.
I have never
Um,
been able to use those. They always fall out of my
they
head.
fall out. Well, that's why I'm taping them. This is great. Yeah, no, but if everybody wants to get ready to do some chi work, invite you. And also, if you want to remain seated, we can do this seated. And just a reminder that it is nighttime, and sometimes people get stimulated a little bit more when we start moving. So I remind you as well, I want you to get a good night's sleep. So really connect with your breath and go as soft as you want. And I will lead you through that. So let's start. You know what? I'm going to change. I want to be able to watch you all. And 1 second. Okay, so, all right. So let's start in a Wuji posture. Feet a little bit around shoulder width apart. Soften those ankles and those knees. Let's connect to the earth. Drop our hands to the side. And then again, let's be the puppeteer from the sky, from the stars, from heaven. So let's imagine that we have a string that's attached to Bai Hui, our highest point on our head up to the sky to elongate our neck, our spinal cord. And then also a really great thing to do in Wuji posture is align the top of your head, that point by way, with Ren 1. And that's the Tai Chi pole. So when you do that, you feel a little bit of a tuck and you're all aligned with heaven and earth right there. Let's just stand here for a second and feel what that feels like. Wuji. And let's connect with our lower belly with deep abdominal breathing. And this is just a slow, gentle, deep breath. Yin style. Nice and slow. You can close your eyes if you want. With your feet on the earth and your head in the stars. Nice soft breathing. Now is a good time to drop out of that analytical mind right into the lower depths of your belly. Begin to let the day go. And let's move into water waves. Turning at the waist. Let's just swirl the chi around our bodies. Soften our shoulders. Feel the air between your fingers. Let it go. Water waves. Move like water. We're just beginning to open up that spine. Nice activation. The spine is working all day long. Let's squeeze out that stagnant chi. Keeping the alignment. And take some nice deep breaths. Still belly breathing. Letting it go. Swirling the air. Feeling the chi. I like to keep my eyes open. And let's just slow it down. Slow it down. Realign and let's do some spinal cord breathing. So let's bring our hands to the side of our head and inhale, looking up with a nice small arch in the back, and then exhale with a rounding those shoulders. And an inhale, open up the chest, open up kidney 27, and exhale, nice and slow. Let it go. Inhale. Let the body do the breathing. Let the movement breathe you. Exhale. Exhale. Let it go. Remember, we're doing yin style, so soft and gentle. And also remember that each organ has a nerve that innervates our spine. So anytime you do spinal cord breathing, you are regulating your entire body, right? So inhale. And a nice exhale. Do a couple more in silence. Just one. Let it go with our arms to our side. Nice. Nice activation. Okay, let's go on a little bit wider of a stance. See someone's trying to get in, Todd. Okay, Ivan. Okay, so let's do move your body like a river. So I like to go a little bit wider. The biggest thing that we're going to be doing here for you beginners is we want to move a lateral flexion on our spine. And the way we start doing this is we shift our hips. Shift the weight. So our hips are going to go and our body's going to follow. Placing our hands on our thighs. Now, yin style. Let's move like a long, slow river, like maple syrup, lateral flexion, and play with this, explore. You can be the mountain creek. You can be that long, slow river. Let's take it down a little bit lower. So it goes hips and head, hips and head. Yeah, hips and head. Letting it go. If you feel like you want to speed this up, you can do that. This is your practice. Make sure your knee doesn't go over your toe. Nice and slow. Move your body like a river. Nice and low. Let's bring it a little bit lower. Lateral flexion. You can also bring it up a little bit higher. What does that feel like? Hips and head, hips and head. And let's bring it back down. Bring it to the center and let's stretch over. So here's a great time for us to use gravity. So I like to take my hands and just pull the spine apart on the top of my shoulders. I like to do this at night. Pull it, let it go. Nice. And let your arms drop. Shoulders soften. Knees are bent. You can shake it off a little bit. Nice. And let's grab our wrist with one hand and roll it on up. Nice. Stretch up. Push your hips forward. And let's do full body flow. Let's extend. Stretching the back of our body and rolling up and stretching the front. So when we do a stretch without the flow, we're working on ligaments, tendons, and muscles. But the moment we start moving, we bring our joints into action, right? Full body flow. Exhale. And up. Pushing those hips forward. And again, stay nice and soft. Synchronize with the breath. And I invite you to sigh. And let's roll on up. Hands out to the side. A nice stretch. Nice. And bring it on in. And shake it off. So we're going to do 8 activation points, and then we're going to go into bouncing. So let's start with our kidney 27, right under the collarbone, right under the clavicle, right here, right in the center. And we can tap it, tap it. So this is the Mandarin name is Shifu, and it means storehouse. The storehouse for the kidneys. It's the reserve tank. And this really encourages us to breathe deeply. Let's rub it, rub it. This is also a place where lymph pools. So this is really good to do throughout the day. And the next one is the Qi Chuan, heart 1. Let's stimulate this to see the name. It's Summit Spring. And you can picture, this is where the heart meridian starts. So it's that bubbling spring pouring out of the summit of your heart chi, right? Great. Let's rub it a little bit. It's really good for the lymph as well. Good, good. And this is also a spirit point on the body to the other side. A nice activation. Heart 1, it's right in the middle of the armpit, celery fold. And I think we use this in 5-element classical acupuncture because it aligns your heart with the universe's heart. All right, let's just do a nice rub. Next one is the Kwa. Let's knock on the quad. This is liver 10, 11, 12. And this is really great to do throughout the day as well. This liver meridian and our quad, it regulates the chi flow between the torso and the legs. So if this gets restricted, it can kink and get stagnant. So let's rub that quad. And then the last point is bladder 40 behind the knees, Wei Zhong. This is the commander point. We can knock on it, you can rub it. Commander point for the lumbar vertebrae. Give it a nice knock. And let's rub it, circle it, stimulate it, get that chi flowing behind there. And then also this is a great point for night sweats, hot flashes, for yin deficiency. All right, let's bring it on up and shake. Let's shake, gentle shake. Nice. Make some sighs. Let's bring it on up. It is a party. Let's move the chi. And do the heart sound. Nice sigh. H-A-W. Inhale. And let it bring it down. And slow it down. Sense and feel. Do a couple breaths and realign with our Wuji posture. So toes forward. If you're more comfortable with them a little bit splayed out, that's okay too. So toes forward if you can. And let's realign. Bai Hui attached top of our head, puppet of the heavens, elongating the spine. A nice little tuck. We're not tucking too much, but we're realigning Bai Hui with Ren 1. Right in the perineum. Hips are over knees, knees over ankles. Soft. Do a nice realignment. And let's open the flow. Do an inhale with our arms raising up. And exhale, let's float them down. Inhale and exhale. Start feeling the flow. This is where you can give in and allow the Tao to move you. Let nature move you in and out. And if you feel your body rocking, let it do so. And let's just sit here for a second and open the flow. Listen to your breath. It's the ebb and flow of the ocean. One of my old teachers used to compare the Tao to basic goodness, the sacred chi that runs through our body, basic goodness. And exhale. Soften your shoulders. Let's see what else you can let go of and allow the breath to move your arms like they're the puppet strings too. Belly breathing this whole time, like a wave in the sea. And let's bring it down. Hold the chi ball. Nice. And we're going to do a little review of what we did last time. Let's start with the fountain. So we're going to have a slight hinge at the waist. Our back of our hands are going to float up and trace and roll up that kidney channel like a fountain. It's going to overflow. A little bend at the waist. Roll up that channel on the inner leg and out of that kidney 27. Let's start undulating and waving that spine a little bit with this wonderful fountain. And exhale out. So the kidney channel starts bubbling springs at the bottom of your foot, and we're leading and directing it up to kidney 27 under our clavicle and out like a fountain. Sync it with your breath in. Out. In. Now, when you wave your spine, that nice light wave, you're actually stimulating the kidneys. That's why it's a very important part of this flow. Little hinge and rolling up that channel. One more time. This time, let's add that heart wash. And so for you who haven't seen this, we're going to roll up that kidney channel and wash it down to the lower dantian. Rolling up the kidney channel and washing to the dantian. Let's really connect with your body right now. That chi is coming up and cooling the heart. Reconnecting with that Ren channel. You can add the sound, the heart sound on the way back down. Let's wash it with the heart sound. I can thank Cindy. She was here. I think she's here with us today. She actually recommended the heart sound last time. So thank you, Cindy. Up the kidney, down the Ren. Let's see how soft we can get. Can even slow it down. And as we age, especially as women, our Ren and Chong meridians start to disintegrate. So movements like this are so helpful in reconnecting our Ren meridian with our lower dantian, which helps our Mingmen, our life gate fire. Let's do it a couple more times. In and down. Can really feel the chi building in my lower dantian. And let's just hold the chi ball. Feel the chi in your hands, in the field in front of your body. It's replicating the field inside that lower dantian. Isn't that nice? And feeling that chi, let's pull down the heavens. Hands are pulled on the sky, arms out to the side and pulling down. Let's keep those palms facing the body this time. We're going to smooth that chi out. Inhale up. Exhale down. What we're doing is we're harnessing that cultivated qi that we just worked on, and we're moving it down into our lower dantian. Nice. Moving out that qi. If you'd like to work with colors, this is a good time to think of lavender light, the Milky Way stars coming down, filling your body with a healing lavender. And we're moving out the triple burner, the top burner, the middle burner, and the lower burner. Let's do one more together. Nice. Putting our hands on our belly, connecting with our lower dantian. We can bring our feet together a little bit closer. And we just cultivated all that qi, and now it's in our bank account in that lower dantian. I want to place our palms over qi high, sea of qi, which is Ren 6. That is the entry and exit gate to our lower dantian. So right now, let's put it in our bank account and seal it up. And one last time, connect the top of our head to the heaven, the heavenly puppet, elongating our neck, feeling the earth under our feet. We are nature. And now just allowing a nice bamboo, just like blowing in the wind. Allow that healing qi that you just did to go to the areas that need to be healed. Beautiful. And open up your eyes. Let's put our hands on our hearts and take a bow to yourself and to a bow to each other and a bow to our teachers who we love very much. And I thank you. God, let's get this tea party started.
Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah.
So good. And desperately needed for me, the yin part today to quiet everything down. Seems like there's always 1,000 different things going on at the same time. So just excited to, I mean, I have such a blessing. And I think that, Stephen is here. Welcome, Stephen. Great to have you with us. I get blessed every week to be led by two amazing teachers, Jenny with the Wild Tea Party and Stephen with the Recovery on Saturday. So just super grateful for you guys. So the tea part of the Wild Tea Party today, we're going to talk about Puer Tea for a couple of different reasons. Primarily, thank you to Cha Cha for the recommendation for, she bought one of our travel gift sets that I'll share with you guys here in a few minutes, what that is. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and what to do and the different types of tea. But just as a reminder, this whole idea started, I'm going to share a couple of videos with you guys that I recorded in, I think, in Yunnan, China, in Puer, and you'll get a chance to sort of see how the cakes are made. And you'll see this woman wrapping, and I had forgotten until I read my notes earlier that I actually had to ask this lady to slow down to about 20% speed because she was doing it so fast. I could barely even keep up with what she was doing, and just perfect every single time. So the way that I think about tea, and our other good friend and partner, Mr. Bo, is here as well. So don't laugh as I describe the way I understand tea. But I look at tea as sort of a spectrum, if you will. And so if you imagine steak goes from raw, and if you want to go like carpaccio, so you just have sliced rare steak, that's more like white tea. Very little is done to it, right? And then it goes from there, it goes into green teas, And then you've got some of the oolong teas or red or black teas. And then at the far end of this spectrum, so kind of think about it as well done tea, is Puer tea. And Puer is got an amazing tradition. It's from a very unique place in Yunnan, China, which is very South and Southeast Asia. It's a big part of where tea started. There was actually a very good article in the National Geographic, I think this month or last month, just about tea and Jingmai, this place in Yunnan, one of the origins of a lot of this tea. And it is amazing in its history. And so a lot in the old days, a lot of times the tea was made into these cakes and even used as currency. So they would trade with it. But what makes pu'er very unique is that it has a lot of like probiotics. So it has a lot of healing properties that are in it. And it's very unique in its energy, which is, I think, a big part of the reason that Lee has gravitated to it for qigong practice, because it's a very sort of mellow energy. It doesn't get you jacked up. And that's really how I first got into tea, because being in the restaurant business and the food business for a lot of time, I drank a lot of coffee and way too much very early in the mornings. And I would just get to the point that you just get the jitters and you get shaky and you just have too much of that caffeine happening. And then you need a nap a little bit later on because you just, as somebody once said, energy can neither be created or destroyed. So you're going to have to pay it back at one point. So if you're taking in all this artificial energy, you're going to have to pay the price at some point. And part of the reason that tea has a different effect is that the caffeine is released differently out of tea. And so the way that it is extracted from those leaves is completely different. So there's two different types basically of pu'er tea, one that they call shu pu'er and the other they call sheng pu'er. They are the difference between sort of the raw or the aged teas. And the pu'er tea has a very interesting tradition in that part of China that when a young girl, I guess she'd have to be a young girl, but when she was born, when the baby girl was born, the parents would go get these old leaves from these old tea trees and bring it and make these cakes. And then they would hold that and use that and save that for her dowry. And so it really has this deep, deep tradition in the area. But it's made in these huge compost piles. So, and I couldn't find the videos for that. So I've got a couple of watching them make the cakes and do the work with wrapping the cakes and doing that work. But they put in these big, huge compost piles and then they turn it just like you would with compost. So they continue to turn it and they're done in these big, huge, I guess, warehouses, basically like a huge garage. And it's just on the floor. And then they just go and they turn it every once in a while. So I want to share a couple of videos with you of those, but it's very like it's one of those teas that is for some people is an acquired taste. Like it isn't quite the matcha or the green teas or even the oolongs or jasmine teas or a lot of like the floral teas. It's very deep and rich and earthy. And so somebody told me one time that it tasted like wet leaves. And I was like, well, it is wet leaves. So it's very observant. Some people say it tastes like very lot of dirt or like very rich and heavy. I love it because I think that to me, it's one of those things that there's a real value in it in terms of the effect that it has on your body. So it's not just the caffeine, but they use a lot of it for a detox. Right. So it's very good at just as a cleanser to get all the bad, whatever heebie-jeebies out of your body. And it also, in terms of value, is something that you can continue to brew multiple times. So really high quality pu'er tea, you can brew multiple times with a lot of it. And I'll show some when we make some here in a few minutes. The first time, and some people do this with all of the tea, some people do it with pu'er religiously, is usually just get the leaves wet and then pour out that first infusion. So they call it washing the leaves. And so in some ways, it's sort of like waking up the leaves, getting them ready to do what they're supposed to do. I would do that maybe 20% of the time. I'm just usually in a hurry to drink the tea, so I don't usually go through the whole sort of form ceremony, but it does, you'll watch, and it has this sort of bell-shaped curve where you'll start to taste different things and you get more and more flavor. And then at the midpoint, sometimes the third or fourth infusion, sometimes the fifth, depending on the quality of it, will start to change. But a really good pu'er tea, you should be able to infuse and enjoy multiple infusions from. And so it's one of those things I've seen a few, and I actually have some samples like pu'er powder sticks or loose leaf pu'er tea that is not loose leaf, but in tea bags. And to me, it is almost like defeats the whole purpose of drinking pu'er tea. So usually if you can find some high quality, I know Lee is a big fan of Hidden Peak. Bo and I met actually around the same time that I met Jenny. Bo also used to work at Rishi Tea, and they've got very good quality pu'er teas as well. So there's a lot of really good venues out there. As Jenny and I have mentioned before, our desire is not to be a tea company in that sense. So we will for sure be sourcing some teas. I'll share some of these teas with you that we have just a few samplers left of. But those prices that we have on there, and they don't include shipping, we're basically selling them at our cost, just so you guys can have them. These are unique in that they're loose leaf pu'er tea. And usually when you find pu'er tea, they're made in these cakes. So we want to go through a little bit of this, and I want to show you a couple of these videos, and then I'll show you the tea set and sort of how it works and what all the different parts and pieces are for. Talk a little bit about the three teas themselves, but then I want to make sure that we spend plenty of time being able to answer any questions about that, about the qigong, but really just as a reminder, Jenny and I are here to serve you guys, and so we want to make sure that this time is the best use of your time as well. And for us, it's just a great way to kind of share who we are and what we're passionate about and how we hope to be able to serve you and other people in the future. So I'm going to share a couple of these videos with you. So let me get these up and then I'll show you what it's like at the Puer Tea Factory. All right, let me get this first one up. All right. Where did you go, little guy? And I also have a PDF that I'll send to you guys that has a lot more information. I'm not going to read this to you guys, but just so you can see some of what I've been talking about, the sheng and the shu pu'er, the ran, the right pu'er, a little bit of its history, some of the health benefits that it's known for. So supporting digestion and heart health, metabolism, detoxifies the body, calms the mind. Then there's some loose leaf, some recommendations in terms of how to prepare the tea. So how much to use usually. Pu'er is one of those teas you want to use as hot a water as you can possibly get because you're trying to extract all of that flavor. So much like a lot of times if you're using a lot of roots, ginger and other things, you want to have really hot water. Other teas, some of the green teas, you want to use cooler water and white teas so you don't over bake those teas. But then this will give you a little bit more sort of insight into what those are all about. So I'm just going to share, we'll show you the factory first. So this is the typical sort of pu'er factory. And I'm going to put these links in the Mighty community so you guys can take a look at these at some point. But this is, again, I am not a videographer. I don't even know what camera this was on at some point. But at least you'll get a kind of chance to see it in action. So they take the loose leaf tea and they put it in this bag, in this steamed tea, and then they smash it into this canvas bag. And then they get that as tight as they can. And then it moves over to this press where it gets pressed into those cakes. And it was hard for me while I was there because of my glasses. It was so steamy in that room. Like I had to take my glasses off. So that's part of the reason that probably the camera angles aren't so good or not so focused. And then after they go off of that, you can't really see them, but there's cooling racks here in the back. And then they go and they sit and dry. That tea that they're using is the tea that I was describing that had been in those compost piles for a long time. So they're turning it, and there's definitely an art. They're taking the temperature of it. They're making sure that it's, they're watching it very carefully to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Then when it comes into here, they lay it out into these big tables. It gets portioned into those bags. And you can see that there's a lot of steam because they're trying to get it to really condense to be able to make those cakes. Then once those cakes are made, then it will come over to this lady. And like I said, keep in mind, she's doing this probably at about 20% speed. So very precise. And it kind of like, when you look at it from this angle, it still looks like it may end up being a mess somehow, but somehow like to wrap a square piece of paper around a round shape, a round object is definitely an art in and of itself. But she probably would have done at least three or four in the same amount of time that it took her to do this one to slow it down just so we could take the pictures of it. And that's it. So really interesting and again, very interesting part of China. It's a beautiful part. It's far away from Beijing, so there's not a lot of smog. It's very beautiful. Kunming, where the sort of the capital of that area, the big city there, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful markets and a beautiful lake and just a really good place to be. Lee would like to do a tour with us. I don't know if we'll be able to do it this year or not, but to be able to go there. And it's not too far away from Montauk Chia's place in Thailand. So looking at maybe trying to tie both of those into the same tour would be fantastic. So maybe a point in the not too distant future that we could all enjoy some of this puer tea together. So I'm just curious for you guys if anybody is here that is a fan of puer tea. Some people have tried it and don't like it. So just curious if you guys put in the chat what your experience has been. And then I am going to get my camera set up and kind of show you these other teas. Actually, before I'll do that, I'll just show you on our site what it is that I'm actually going to be sharing with you. So here, I would just show you guys these. So on our website, this is the loose leaf tea sampler that I'll be talking about. So there's three different loose leaf teas. Excuse me. Suleo is also here, so she might be able to read this to us. I have no idea what they say. I just take her word for it. But they are sort of broken down into these, and it gives you a little bit of the tasting notes. So this first one over here, the red one, has more of a kind of a smoky flavor to it. This other one, the one in the middle, the Palace Puer and the blue label, has got this more tannic sort of minerals in it. One of the things that's very difficult that I found in food or even in tea is being able to describe the tastes because sometimes they're very subjective and it's hard to tell somebody what they should be tasting. But this other one, this last one is very unique. This camphor puer that's grown around these camphor trees. And apparently that's how it helps give it this sort of cooling, sort of minty vibe and definitely get more of that sort of rich, heavy sort of dates and figs and cocoa flavors. So we'll go through that. And then the tea sampler or the tea set that we'll go through is this, and I'll show you the different sort of parts and pieces. But when we were looking at all of these, we were working with one of our partners in China, went to a tea warehouse and found I mean, can't even tell you how many different tea sets there were. And so we picked out some, we had them shipped to us here in Chattanooga. And then we independently gave them to everybody to see, and everybody, including Lee, when we showed it to him, was the one that everybody gravitated towards this one. Part of what makes it nice is that it's got this nice little set. There's four little cups in it and this thing to store the tea in, and then this teapot that you can brew it with. So just wanted to kind of show you guys that because that's what I'm actually going to share with you and kind of show you a little bit of a tea ceremony. So let me get this camera set up and make sure we're good to go. All right. And Oh, I guess you have to actually press the unclick button. All right, so I'm gonna move. John, you'd have to tell me if the sound still works okay, since I don't have like a super fancy mic today. But hopefully you guys can see everything.
Sound good so far, Todd?
So far, so good. So, oh, look, Sulio's being the cameraman. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. So, hello again. I am Todd. So we got this when we were in China too, which is kind of a cool little thing that holds the water hot. It has this little smart little button you can press on the top to see what the temperature is. But since we don't have a big fancy tea bar and tea studio with camera angles everywhere, you'll just have to deal with our sort of rudimentary kitchen, I guess as it is for our tea bar for today. So what typically you would do anytime that you are trying to have a tea ceremony and share with people is usually you would pour the hot water and get everything warm first. So you would want to put the water into here, and then the theory is it's best not to make the tea in cold utensils or cold vessels. So you would take the tea. What makes this unique is that it's got these, I'm looking at Jenny, I forget the camera's over here. Hello again. It's got these holes in the top of it. So it has a strainer built into it. So then when you make the tea, it makes it much easier to sort of dispense. Then what you would do, and if this was a sort of a traditional Gong Fu tea, our cameraman's just getting, it's her first day on the job, so we don't know exactly how this is going to work. So what you typically would do in a Chinese tea ceremony, and I'll just kind of show you the example here, is everybody gets a little bit at a time, as opposed to pouring one and then pouring the other. And in particular, why that's important with pu'er is because there's a different extraction rate that's happening. So the more that those leaves are getting more and more water, and those cakes, you can imagine that it has to open up, right? So it has to continue to open. It's going to take some time for that water to, and again, take some time for that water to get inside. So then if you do this, then everybody is basically getting the same cup of tea. Instead of this person may get a little bit lighter infusion, and by the time you get to this person, it's going to be even heavier. So ideally, you would go through, get all of these to be warm, which they're very hot now. And then what's nice about this bamboo tray is then you can just pour out all of the water into the tray. So you don't have to be near a sink while those are warming up. So now you've got some warm teacups and you've got a warm teapot. And then these, depending on how strong you want your tea, this was really dosed to really be one. Oh, thank you. Oh, cameraman and director. This is good. So this is this tea bag. So this is the one that I was mentioning, the camphor. So we designed these originally just so that it would be easy to brew one, so you don't have to try to figure out how to get half of this in here. And I'll show you, we'll put some pictures in that Mighty Network in the sip and share area so you can see the difference in the leaves. So even though they're all loose leaf, there's a different sort of structure and texture to each of those leaves. So then once that's in there, just hit it with the water. And then it doesn't need to take very long. So if you're going to rinse that, you would just do it immediately, especially with the loose leaf tea, because there's no cake. It's not trying to break into anything. So it's already going to get water everywhere around the leaves. So you would just take that and then again, warm the cups up again. So the first time you're basically just washing everything to make sure it's clean. And then once you've done that, then the next one, let's steep a little bit longer. So you can let it go for maybe up to a minute or so. And then again, with these, you can still infuse these multiple times. And each one is going to have a little bit different flavor, different aroma as those leaves start to wake up. So Jenny, any questions in the 60 seconds while we're waiting for this to brew? Anything you want to add or touch on?
Anybody have any questions? There are no questions, but we have some fans. We have not fans. We have people haven't tried yet. So this is great.
Yeah, I was absolutely not a fan in the beginning, but I think that's the case with a lot of stuff. Like, whether it's your first cup of coffee or whatever, it's like, yeah, what is this? But for me, again, a lot of it was really more the energy. Now I actually really enjoy it. And I don't like the difference between the raw and the ripe puer is the sheng puer is very strong and very bitter. So this is usually these aged puers like this are usually much more mellow. And the way that it happened is that around the 70s, I think it was, they figured out a way to sort of speed up the process to help make sure, and that's what those big sort of compost piles are doing. Before they would just age in those cakes, and it wouldn't be able to get to that sort of elegant flavor or texture until it had been sitting there for years. So when the market really took off, they figured they better figure out a way to make it faster. So then with these, then you would just go through and then just, again, these are, if we had really fancy cameras, you could see that each one of these infusions will start to get darker over time. So even as I'm pouring this, the first one was very light and it's starting to get darker and darker. So,
Okay.
so then
Todd, we have a couple questions. Yeah.
go for it.
Let's see. Stephen is wondering, is there a particular way to place the lid on the teapot? I was challenged by that when I used mine for the first time. I like how the liquid poured out of your teapot so easily and fluidly.
Yeah, you want to make sure that that's a really good question. So that the holes you want to make sure are facing the whatever that little spout piece is so that it runs out easily because otherwise you're going to have there's no way for the water to get out. So it's going to try to flush it out around the side. So the easiest way to get that stream is to make sure that the holes in the lid are facing forward. Yeah, good question.
Question. I know. Deb, did you have a question? Oh, you had her hand up. Oh, there you are. Okay. Go ahead, Deb.
Yes, what I was going to ask is, I think from what I understood was that when they do that in the composting piles, the reason that there's the probiotic and prebiotic is that it actually is fermenting. Is that correct, Todd?
That's what they say. And there's different, I mean, it's all tea kind of is fermented, right? There's a different way that it's getting the oxygen, that it's getting all of that in there. But that's, Deb, that's what my understanding is too, that it's because of the process that they're going through. That's why all of those probiotics and prebiotics are being built inside the tea.
And my other question was, do you know like when Puer in particular sort of became that, used in sort of a ceremonial way and sacred, was looked at as different from other teas?
I think well, and if you talk to the people there in Yunnan, they would tell you from day one, right, that it's very special and all of that. I think that every region in China has different types of tea. And so it's very specific to the types of leaves that are there. Like one of my favorites, this called Dragon Well Longjing Cha from Hangzhou, China's very beautiful green tea, very specific from there. And then the challenge is anytime that something becomes famous and it gets a reputation, then there's a lot of copycats. So then there's other people that are trying to make those teas. So my understanding of the puer in particular, and there's a lot of research because you could go, like we could have a wild tea party or a class for an entire weekend, just puer tea. Like when I went to Yunnan, the part of the reason I was there was to go through a tea sommelier training. And they tell you how to evaluate all of the teas so that you can tell, because when you have that sort of demand in the marketplace, you end up with a lot of counterfeit teas. And so what a lot of them would do is put like the beautiful leaves on the outside of the cake and then put all the garbage on the inside of the cake. And so then they would teach you how to break it, how to make sure that after you've made the tea, you put it into these trays and then you evaluate it to see if there's still all big leaves or if there's a bunch of like the dust and fannings and the little leaves inside.
Sure. Yes, it's sort of like with herbs where you don't want them sitting on a shelf forever and losing all of their essence and turning brown. You know, you can tell if they have vitality to them or not. So I'm assuming
Exactly.
kind of what you're talking about with the tea. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Deb.
Deb. And then a couple more questions. Todd, how much water are you adding to the pot to brew the tea?
To fill it up to the top.
Okay.
Here, it's like just on there. I'll move. I'll go back over here.
Okay, just do it on-
So yeah, you just want to fill it up to the top. No, it's okay.
Okay. And then
Yeah, you just want to make sure that it's full so that you can make sure that you get all of as much water in there as you can. But you don't want it to fill over the top, otherwise it could get too hot.
there you go. Okay. And then Donna. Hey, Donna.
Hey, my friend.
to see
Hello,
you.
everybody.
Hey, Donna.
So nice to see you all tonight. I do have a question for
Sure.
you. My university is going to be sending me to Yunnan Normal University for the month of May to teach. And I'm very interested now that I find out that this is where this comes from. Do you have any recommendations on where I go, what I look for, any information you can give me that would allow me maybe to visit or to explore this while I'm there?
Absolutely. Did you say Yunnan or Hunan?
Hunan, Hunan.
Yeah, this is from Yunnan. So the different region. But I've got a lot of, yeah, we could give you a whole a whole bunch of things
Okay,
to check out for sure there as well. When are you leaving in May?
I'm sorry.
You're going in May?
I'll be there for the month of May, right?
Okay.
And how far away is this place where
How
they
far is
grow this
Yunnan
tea?
from Yunnan? I'm going to ask the expert.
Okay.
The next, the north of Yunnan, Yunnan is north of Yunnan.
The next province?
No, maybe next or next by.
It's not too far.
Let me check.
It's not too
Okay.
far. We'll find out. But yeah, reach out to me, Donna, in the Mighty network there on the chat, and then I'll give you a whole bunch of stuff and some of the great teas
Beautiful.
that are from that
Thank
area.
you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Awesome.
Jenny, I want to make sure that we honor our time and that we don't go too long because we could talk about this stuff forever and forever.
Yunnan is over here. Yunnan is over here. It's next.
We just have one more question.
Yeah.
One more. Cindy has a question about purchasing. Can you see it in the chat, Todd? And purchasing Shuancha, half Shuancha, and 2-ounce options. Maybe we need a little more clarity. Cindy, you want to ask Todd? Here, I'll go ahead and unmute yourself.
So I was curious after I was in Lee's book party yesterday, I got in Hidden Peak and I was going to order some Puer. I'm out of samples that I have. And those were the 3 options that dropped down under the Trinity. And I didn't know what to order.
I don't know what that is. Well, I'll ask the expert. I'll ask Sulio and see if she knows. If we could see the Chinese character, that would probably help her understand. It could be a measurement. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know what Zhuancha or half Shuancha?
Okay. The Chinese character.
Yeah, we'll look. I'll find out and we'll let you know. Or
'Cause I
just
was-
or if you want
I
to
would
just take a look, I can take a look at the link too and see.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Cindy.
maybe I would just default to 2 ounces would make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
what
like
I'm
a cake, a
thinking.
half a cake. Yeah.
It could be. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
It seems like, yeah, it's probably, it looks like it's a measurement,
Mhm.
I would imagine. But yeah, I would say in my experience with Hidden Peak is that it's good and very highly priced. Very
And do you have links to other where if we want to purchase more than just the samples right now, the Puer where we could purchase as well?
Yeah, we don't have any yet because we wanted to not worry so much about importing and all of that other stuff that goes into it. But yeah, we'll start posting a lot of other resources
Yeah.
there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most recent I purchased was actually in a tea shop in Bozeman, and it was a loose sleeve.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Nice.
and I'm loving it, but I'm much of a novice tea drinker, so but I really love it. And then I do have one other question. So after I steep it, I've been putting it in the refrigerator. Is that a good place to store the wet leaves until the next day?
Yeah, you can put them in there. I mean, some of the challenge of putting tea in the refrigerator is that it can absorb all of the other smells that are in there. So if you just have a bunch of onions or other things that are in there, you might end up with those. But you can absolutely do that. Anytime that I've ever done it though, I just leave it out.
I can just leave it on the counter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're going to be gone for a week or so, then maybe that makes sense. But I think you could absolutely just leave it. If you're going to drink it the next day, I would just leave it out.
Okay. And I could do that for 3 or 4 days.
You could, but some of the teas, like green tea, if you put it in the refrigerator, will turn brown.
No,
Interesting.
do
So
that.
with my Puer, I could essentially use it for maybe three days, like steep it
Yeah.
one day and then the next day and then the next day.
Yeah. Mr. Bo, what do you think? If you have any tea advice for handling that?
Yeah, I think puer, if you're going to leave it out, no more than 1 or 2 nights and then toss it. Ideally, you're re-steeping it through over the course of a couple hours and then you can discard it maybe. But for green tea, after several hours out,
Okay.
you got to toss it. Like Japanese green tea, for example, not overnight on a counter. Yeah. Or you could
Yeah.
cold steep it and that's overnight. That's fine too. But then they'll be
Okay.
discarded. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bo.
Andy. Well, I think it also sort of highlights why, Jenny and I have said that, we're students with you guys. We want to learn as much as we can. So we want to invite all of the tea masters and, other people onto the call. So we invited Ming Tong to come on sometime. So we'll get to learn some qigong from him. And we've reached out to a couple of different tea masters in whether it's Japanese teas or the Chinese puer teas. So but we could obviously go on forever. But Jenny, why don't we just sort of wrap up and then we can stick around for a little while. So I don't want people to feel they need to stick around,
Oh,
but we always want to honor their time.
yeah. Todd, I would love to hear you read our Thich Nhat Hanh quote that
Let's
we
do it. Let's do it. Yeah, I realized that I had forgotten that since I didn't do it the first time. So, and again, yeah, this is a quote that has meant a lot to me, as I mentioned last week, that we put it on the big wall in Rishiti. But Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us to drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the whole world earth revolves, slowly, evenly, without rushing towards the future. Live the actual moment. Only this moment is life,
thank you.
which is true.
And a miracle happened today, and I'm really excited. We have two Cindy Hamels here
Yeah,
who are both, and I was waiting for the day that I could introduce them together. So maybe after, you could say hi to each other. So Cindy and Cindy.
That would be fun.
that's
Two
awesome.
very important people in my life.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to
Um,
see so many people here, even from the retreats, and it's just, I think that we're just excited, like we said, about building community and having this place each week to connect in the middle of the week, and then to be able to have the Chikovery experience with Stephen every Saturday. Also very amazing Qigong teacher in his own right. Stephen, do you want to say anything? Say hi to everybody. Some of these people have never been to Chikovery.
Hey everybody.
Hey, Stephen.
So
Hi,
lovely.
Stephen.
Hi Jenny. Hi everybody. So lovely to be here. Hey Bo. Nice to be here. And what a lovely experience. I so enjoyed the practice today with you, Jenny, and
Yeah.
I love the lesson on tea. It's
Mhm.
fantastic. I mean, this is just such a unique and special experience, and I'm so happy to see this dream be manifested. So this is great.
Mhm.
And looking forward to seeing you guys on Saturday morning. Those of you who can make it to the Chi Covering meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Well, yeah,
Stephen.
as I mentioned to Mingtong today, tea and qigong are both those types of things that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why we're excited to do this, and so we can all learn together.
Todd, I have one more question for you before we go.
Jenny,
Sully's wondering if we can ship to Canada.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know I mean, of course, the answer is always yes. That doesn't really matter what the question is. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I think it's a little harder to ship. I had somebody that wanted to order the tea set, and the shipping was going to cost more than the tea set to get it to England. So, but I think the Canada is much easier. So yeah, absolutely. So I can check on it. So if you want to just let me know what you'd be interested in, we can check and see what the shipping is. But logistically, there's no reasons that we couldn't do it, for sure.
Great. Thank you. There you go, Sue. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We're going to continue to fine tune what this is and how it evolves, but there will always be some tea and some qigong, and we'll have different tea teachers and different qigong teachers. But Jenny and I will be here every Wednesday, and Stephen and I will be there every Saturday. And so we invite you guys to join us there. And this is open to everybody. So if there's other people you think that would benefit, you guys have the ability to share those, invite people to be a part of that mighty community. And there's going to be a lot more exciting things to share in the future. Jenny's just started to kick off her private consultations with people. We've got a lot of other exciting courses and workshops and things that we'll be able to share with you guys in the very near future. So thank you guys very much for being here and enjoying the middle of your week with us. And we really appreciate everything that you guys stand for and appreciate your time and giving us your energy tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.